We begin tonight in Arizona, where John McCain is in the middle of a blistering fight for his Senate seat. Who would have thought it at this point in his career? He is facing the toughest primary of his political life against conservative Tea Party-esque radio host J.D. Hayworth. And facing that fight, John McCain brought today he brought the biggest Republican gun I guess anybody can find these days. He brought to Arizona newly elected equestrian trailer pulling, truck driving lawyer, Massachusetts Senator Scott Brown, who appeared alongside Senator McCain at a rally in Phoenix today in order to throw his support behind John McCain's re-election effort.
Hello, Phoenix. My name is Scott Brown. I drive a truck, and I am here to support Senator John McCain for another term in the United States Senate. Let me tell you how brave John McCain is as a politician. John McCain has today introduced an amendment that would prevent the Senate from ever making any cuts to Medicare using the reconciliation process, using a 51-vote simple majority. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you it took a lot of political courage for John McCain to introduce that. Because John McCain himself has done this thing he now wants to ban 4 times. Yes, John McCain voted to cut Medicare through the reconciliation process 4 times. And now he wants to ban anyone else from doing what he's done over and over and over again. And that, ladies and gentlemen, takes guts. Or something. He used reconciliation to cut Medicare in 1989. He did it again in 1995. He did it again in 1997. As recently as 2005, he voted to cut Medicare using reconciliation, the very thing he's now taking a strong stand against. What a man. Heck, John McCain campaigned for president on a promise to cut Medicare and Medicaid by $1.3 trillion, ladies and gentlemen. And now he is bravely taking a stand against himself, dressing up as someone who doesn't want to cut Medicare and who wants to ban himself from voting the way he has in the past again and again and again. Ladies and gentlemen, here's a man who's willing to contradict everything he has stood for in the name of getting elected by you, the good people of Arizona. Arizona needs someone who's going to stand up against people like the old John McCain. And my friend, the new John McCain, is just the man to do it. That's why I'm proud to be here to unveil for the first time it's ever been seen the latest brand new ad from John McCain's Senate campaign. Please enjoy.
Arizona, haven't you had enough of John McCain? His willingness to compromise, his soft, please everyone centrist policy positions. Arizona deserves better. Someone who can take on John McCain. He's already here. It's new John McCain. This rigidly conservative, unyielding right-wing ideologue will reverse the failed policies of John McCain. New John McCain is the John McCain we've all waited for. Elect new John McCain. Because Arizona can't afford another term of John McCain. The other one. Paid for by the new John McCain for Senator Committee, which is in no way associated with the committee to re-elect John McCain.
Okay, so that wasn't a real John McCain campaign ad, nor was that the real Scott Brown introducing John McCain today in Phoenix. But they might well have been, because actually, everything that our fake Scott Brown in the pink shorts said about John McCain happens to be true. John McCain has just really and truly and unironically introduced an amendment to protect Medicare from the reconciliation process, even though he has voted through reconciliation to cut Medicare spending 4 separate times over the course of the last 20 years. And even though massive Medicaid and Medicare cuts were part of his presidential campaign in 2008. It's as if he thinks nobody remembers this stuff or no one will check on it. Or he knows they will, and he knows he'll be called out on his hypocrisy, and he just doesn't care. He's apparently, as they say, not embarrassed, which you might have noticed is becoming something of a theme in Washington lately. Republican Senator Orrin Hatch of Utah also appears to be unembarrassed about his own inexplicable self-negating pronouncements on health reform back in September of last year, when pretending to want some kind of health reform was still okay for Republicans. Senator Hatch appeared on Andrea Mitchell's show and agreed with President Obama's assessment that Democrats and Republicans were in fact in agreement on 80% of the health reform proposals that were on the table.
He made the point that about 80% of what they're talking about we probably could agree on. But it's the 20% where all the money is where we have a lot of disagreements. For instance, he was saying basically that they're going to have a public plan, one form or another, that they're going to have an employer mandate.
Okay, fast forward to this week. Now that the Democrats have compromised substantially on that pesky 20% where the all-important disagreement was, according to Orrin Hatch, now that the president's plan doesn't even include a public option and there is no employer mandate, which are the two things that Senator Hatch was complaining about in that problematic 20%, now that that's all been resolved, presumably to Senator Hatch's satisfaction, since those are the things he said he didn't want, Senator Hatch was just asked by Think Progress if he still agrees with Democrats on 80% of health reform. One might think, since Democrats have given in to so many Republican demands since then, maybe he agrees with even more than 80% now?
I don't agree with 80% of it. I think most of it is a piece of junk. In all honesty, it's a big spending, big government bill that really is going to cost a lot more than it's worth.
It's a piece of junk. I don't agree with 80% of it. Never mind what he said 6 months ago about agreeing with the Democrats. Now Orrin Hatch wants you to know he doesn't agree with the Democrats about anything even remotely related to health reform ever, even the stuff that he agreed with them about before. He doesn't agree with them anymore. That old Orrin Hatch, he liked a piece of junk. This new Orrin Hatch is not going to like that old Orrin Hatch if they ever get a chance to meet him. But the they're not embarrassed theme isn't just for distinguished, long-standing members of the Senate. It's also, apparently, for anti-health reform people who want to join the Senate for the first time. Take Sue Loudon. She's a Nevada Republican who hopes to unseat Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid in the fall. Sue Loudon's new attack ad against Harry Reid is perfect. It's perfect. I could not have made up anything more illustrative to show you how not embarrassed the opposition to health reform is right now. It's perfect. It was like a golden gift to me today. Check this out. This is Sue Loudon's strategy against Harry Reid. Her strategy is to come out strong against government-run health care as a means of defending Medicare, which is, of course, government-run health care. You see, it's perfect. It's perfect.
Harry Reid's big government health care plan will raise taxes, put a bureaucrat between you and your doctor, weaken Medicare, kill jobs, push us further into debt. I'm Sue Loudon. I approve this message because government-run health care is wrong.
Because why? Don't let Harry Reid weaken our country's largest government-run health care system, because government-run health care is wrong. Sue Loudon for Senate. She is against the thing she wants to save. Of course, she is totally unembarrassed about it, which means if she ever does get to the Senate, she will fit right in. Joining us now is something that is also perfect. Chris Hayes, Washington editor of The Nation magazine. Hi, Chris.
I thought you were going to say something that is also unembarrassed.
True. That's also true. Chris, okay, the overall serious hypothesis here is that they're not embarrassed because there's no time to be embarrassed, because health reform is really going to pass, and they've got to not trouble themselves with hypocrisy and lying and getting caught and stuff. It's desperation. Do you think that's true?
I think it's desperation, but I also think this is part of the Republican and right's MO. And in some ways, if I kind of abstract myself enough from the situation, I can almost admire it. I mean, the point is that they will wield whatever cudgels around. So all of a sudden, they are the great defenders of Medicare. This has been something they've been doing since the summer. They're attacking from the left all of a sudden on Medicare, even though, as you point out, this makes no sense. It's totally ideologically incoherent. But the other thing I think is important to sort of zero in on this particular line is that it's really important to note that the demographic demographic base of the right wing in this country are senior citizens, are older Americans. That's where the kind of voting strength and dollar strength of the right is at this moment. And so in some ways, it's also playing to their base.
Well, but older Americans aren't dumb just because they're older.
No,
and
they are not.
To be simultaneously holding on to this old idea that government-run healthcare is evil. We're here to campaign against government-run healthcare while talking about the fact that they're going to save Medicare. I just don't think older people are going to fall for it. I think they're underestimating people.
I agree. I do think they're underestimating. And one of the things I think you're going to see, I mean, even though demographically older Americans are the most skeptical of healthcare reform, Obama still has an edge in trust on healthcare reform. There's a poll out today saying that. And part of that is the accrued capital that is accrued to the Democratic Party as the protector of these kind of big middle-class social programs like Social Security, like Medicare. And so I think it's an uphill climb for Republicans to turn around and suddenly portray themselves as defenders of Medicare when in the same cycle, Paul Ryan in the House is essentially advocating for the privatization of Medicare and the dismantling of it as a program as we know. So yeah, I think it's actually not a winnable rhetorical fight for them to portray themselves as the defenders of Medicare.